Morning, everybody. Welcome to our contribution to the CPA Day of Action. It's our first outdoor public meeting, really, if you like, and the weather's turned out, so that's good to see you all as well. I'm going to be reading this brief text prepared for us by one of our committee members, Matthew, who unfortunately, although represented by his wife Jo there, is prone in bed with a seriously bad back, so he can't be here reading this, so we wish him well. Housekeeping rules are requested by the owner of the towers is please no photographs. It is private property, so no photographs of the property if you don't mind. Thank you very much. So 2.5 sides, shouldn't take too long before we set off on our next bit. So Dent de Leon Towers, hang on, I'll start from the start, shall I? The Dent de Leon Gatehouse is all that remains of a once great estate, and research suggests that it was built between 1435 and 1445 by John Dun de Leon as part of the fortifications of the old manor house. Before I talk about the gatehouse, I want to give a summary of the history of Dent de Leon, as records indicate that the seat or country estate goes back to at least 1245 during the reign of King Henry III, but possibly earlier under a different name. We are not sure which came first, the name of the person or the name of the estate, but history refers to this area as the seat of Dent de Leon. Or is it Dent de Lion, Joe? Matthew always says Dent de Lion.
Yeah, either way.
Okay, either way. So, the earliest associated person we can find is Sir William de Alberville, who died in 1245. He paid homage directly to King Henry III, and in return he was given a large plot of land in Thanet, part of which is what we now refer to as Dent de Leon. His daughter Joan married Sir Henry de Sandwich, who was a medieval bishop of London and Lord Warden of the Cinque Ports during the mid-13th century. When he passed away in 1273, his vast estate, which included these lands, was passed to his niece Juliana. She was married to Admiral Sir William de Leybourne, who was the first commissioned admiral of the seas of England. When he passed in 1310, the seat of Dent de Leon passed to his granddaughter Juliana de Leybourne, and she was known as Infanta of Kent. She was an extremely wealthy landowner who owned over 40 manors throughout Kent and more throughout Sussex. In 1362, she gave all of her lands and rights to King Edward III and gave her manor of Dean in Thanet to the Abbot of St Augustine's Monastery in Canterbury, and it's believed that the seat of Dent de Leon was part of this gift. 20 years later, in 1382, this seat was now occupied by William Dun de Leon and his family. It was his grandson John Dun de Leon who built this gatehouse and fortifications around the manor house because of the threat of a Flemish invasion following the 1435 signing of the Treaty of Arras. And it was during this period that lots of manors throughout Kent and the south coast were fortified. John Dun de Leon died in 1445 and is buried in St John's Church, Margate. He is commemorated by a brass effigy in the church, which has the first known use of the word gentleman on any existing monument, and this is because he was cited as being the first gentleman to enter the House of Commons. John Dun de Leon left no male heir, and ownership seems unclear from 1445 to around 1538. It looks like the land that formed the seat of Dent de Leon remained in the ownership of St Augustine's Abbey from 1362 until the dissolution of the monasteries by King Henry VIII in 1538, and all property subsequently went to the Crown. The estate was likely purchased or gifted from the Crown to the Beverley or Bewley family, and through marriage it went to the Pettit family. We know the Pettits, a well-known local family, lived here for more than 100 years until the death of Captain Henry Pettit in 1661. It was later bought by Sir Henry Fox, Lord Holland, who also owned the Quex estate, built Kingsgate Castle. In 1774, his son, the Honourable Charles Fox, who was a very colourful and famous politician and also Britain's first ever Foreign Secretary, inherited his father's estate, and he later sold Quex to John Powell in 1777. In the early 1800s, Grove House, as part of Dent de Leon, became a very fashionable place to visit with its tea rooms, manicured gardens with rose and lavender walks, and also a bowling green. Not long after I moved here, Matthew, I found that a great-great-grandmother worked in the tea rooms and her brother looked after the gardens. During this period, in the early 1800s, the gatehouse was also used as a base for smuggling to hide contraband and was involved in the violent 1821 incident known as the Battle of Marsh Bay, or as it's now called, St Mildred's Bay. Later, the area served as a working farm from the mid-1800s up until the late 1960s. During this period, the field behind was popular for horse racing and became the site of the Margate Racecourse between 1765 and 1838. The manor house itself was demolished after being destroyed by a fire in 1888, leaving just this gatehouse standing. The gatehouse itself is a Grade II star-listed scheduled ancient monument and is one of fewer than 200 examples across the country. The remains are considered of national importance, and there is a letter from the Secretary of State. It was built as part of the fortifications of the old manor house and is made from alternating red and yellow brick with napped flint. There are arrow slits at the top of the towers and 2 round holes at the base for cannons. There is a possibility that these cannon holes were added at a slightly later date. Inside, the arches built up high in the walls are stone blocks called corbels, which are used to support large wooden purlins or horizontal beams. These beams would have supported a large wooden roof structure that filled the space between all 4 towers, which was used as the guardhouse. In the northwest tower is the original fireplace that the guards would have used to keep warm during the winter. In 1703, a chamber was discovered under the southwestern tower and fragments of pottery and glass were found, as well as, whatever that says, lacrimatory urns or tear catchers. Under the southeastern tower is what is described as a well prison, with large iron rings fitted to the walls to secure prisoners. In 1791, Turner painted the gatehouse while sitting under the original walnut tree, which was lost in a storm years ago. And I believe, Joe, I'm right in saying that that is a sapling from that original tree that Turner sat under.
And if you Google it, you will find
Yeah. So Turner sat there and painted those towers. Around 1920, a local builder built the thatched cottage on the corner of Canterbury Road and Bridge Road. He managed to rescue various items from the manor house and they were installed in his house. One of them is a stone mullion window frame with stained glass. Originally, there would have been a road or track from Shottendane Road straight to the gatehouse entrance. The road would have continued through the estate and farmland behind, linking up with the other entrance in Canterbury Road. It's the lovely flint wall, almost opposite St James Church, and until recently had the old gate lodge that was demolished for the new block of flats on Canterbury Road. Thank you for listening.